So not suggesting that the weather in Spain in a January is variable or anything like that. Yeah, so we had one good day on Sunday this week and then the weather turned, so we've been pretty much stuck in the van. So this one's maybe a bit more informational, which might be no bad thing because people have been saying that they're just about to start touring or just going to pick up their camper van or motorhome. So it might be a help to somebody. I mean, anybody who knows this, done this once or twice, knows this stuff.
So here we go. We'll see you at the end to tell you what we're doing for next week.
It's a beautiful Sunday in January and the Spanish are out in force. The wee pavement cafes are full. Oddly, a lot of the big supermarkets are shut, but there's always one open, although that's normal in Spain. Shops that have been shut all week are now open, but we've only got another week here in this beautiful place. I mean, it's so Spanish and relaxing, and we have said how this place makes us feel, haven't we?
Yes.
So we're always a little bit sad to leave.
Yeah. But we're a bit excited to go somewhere else with a wee bit more life.
Yeah, always, you know, it's all about contrast, isn't it? You know, but it is sad to leave here. I think we're always a positive spin, so I think we become aware in this final week here that everything we do here is the last, or often that everything we do is the last one for a year, aren't we? And it just makes it all the more valuable, I think. So I think we said this week we're going to try maybe and do the 10 most useful things we have, or the 10 most useful things we found out. And we were worried we'd even have 10, but it turns out we've got loads. So I think rather than make one boring video like that, we'll try and intersperse them through all the videos as we do them, or use them, because that might be a bit more interesting, I think, you know. I'll wait of sausage, bacon and egg, because why wouldn't you? You see, this is supposed to be a fantastic little B-roll of us cooking sausage, bacon, egg in the Kadak. What's ended up is us cowering away from the thing, because the fat coming off it is flying about 5 feet in every direction. This is the second go at this, because the first 2 eggs I tried to crack in here were already hard-boiled. No idea you could buy them like that in Spain. It's also taken about an hour, because I insist on using every bottle of gas till it's empty. So unfortunately we are going to have to go into a short period of mourning here, and we do ask that our privacy is respected, because the second gas bottle of the trip has just gone dead. Is that enough mourning, Ronan?
Definitely. Jeez.
Quick, grab that. It's not empty yet.
It is empty.
Well, that's the wash and dry.
How would you know?
Do it with a bit more venom. How would you know? Right? You know, like you normally would. Well, that's another disaster. So the weather's turned and the streets are pretty much empty today. But we don't mind a couple of days like this because we just be in the van, don't we? Usually, you know, sleep a bit and read a bit and, you know, watch some of the stuff that we've downloaded. I think today, what we do crave is the food, isn't it?
Yes,
the home food. So yeah. So we're going to do the old mince and tatties in the Remoska today with a bit of luck, and I think it's a good time to talk about how variable the weather is in Spain in a January and February, because we're well into February now. And it's raining pretty heavily now, but we're nice and cosy in here, aren't we? So we use the Remoska rather than the oven in the van. So I've actually taken the shelves out, and the Remoska is stored in there wrapped in a towel. So this is how we make our sort of travelling Remoska version of mince and tatties. The basic ingredients are carrots. Now that's normally 2 carrots, but we had 3 smallish carrots. So that's in there. 1 white onion chopped, that's quite a large one. I'll use red, just the same. Salt, pepper, mixed herbs, stock cube, and a potato, and about 250 grams of minced meat. Now, half this pack, this is 500. Also, this is burger meat, which is mostly what you get in Spain. You can get good stuff or better stuff, but at home I would use steak mince, good quality steak mince for the taste. 250 grams of steak mince. Now what we're going to add to that, I think, is any kind of bacon bits or pancetta, anything like that. Bit of Gouda cheese, the good old Lea and Perrins. Now most recipes will tell you to brown everything up in a frying pan and then put it in the Remoska, but that's just more washing when you're camping. So what you do is throw a good dollop of olive oil, well have a guess how much that was, I don't know, a couple of tablespoons? don't matter very much. And then put the lid on. My assistant is falling asleep again. She had the lid in her hand. For some reason she thinks I mean put the lid on the olive oil, not the Remoska.
I thought you wasn't. Boggle, I'm fed up with this cooking.
What we're going to do is let that olive oil come up to heat. Now that'll be 10 or 12 minutes. How do you know? Well, you can put your ear to it. I've burnt my ear a few times as well. The more modern Remoskas, of course, have a glass top on top so you can actually see it. You could also throw a couple of bits of onion in and that will, you know, make a noise. So now we're going to add these bacon pieces. And then we're going to give that a good rummel. You can see where we're going here, can't you? We want this nice flavour off of these. Lid back on. And we're going to give that about another 10 minutes. So that's been cooking away there for 10 or 12 minutes. To be honest, I've got no idea. I lost track of time. But that's the thing about the Remoska. It doesn't really matter that much. Cook everything for an hour, it'll be fine. Apart from risotto type things, you know, that need rice and are absorbing water. You have to do that a bit differently. We'll do, I think over this trip, we'll do the Venetian rice and peas. So now we'll throw the onions and carrots in. And then we'll whack the lid on again, and we'll give it another 10 or 12 minutes. Now the thing is that with days like this, you know, it is a nice wee change, isn't it, to be in the van, but, you know, more than one day there is a strong chance only one of us will leave this van alive. So we've split this 500 gram pack of burger meat into two. So all we're going to do is sprinkle that on top of the vegetables now. We'll leave it for about 5 or 6 minutes, give it another stir after, leave it another 5 or 6, and it should all be nicely browned up then. So Rona's basically lifted the lid on the Remoska about 3 times and she says she's cooked out.
It's hard work, this cooking business.
So what we're going to do now is sprinkle a whole oxo cube over the top. Then we're going to add about 75 ml of water. That's not a lot of water. A good dash of the Leon Perrins. Don't know how much that is. Probably half a tablespoon. A few good cranks of salt and pepper. About a teaspoonish of mixed herbs. You know, give it all a real good stir now. And then we slam the lid on again, and that's going to cook for a good half hour. So what about the totties or the tatties, you may well ask? Well, you could just boil up potatoes and mash them. But we prefer to slice potatoes thinly, lay them out on top, more salt and pepper, cook that for another 30 minutes. I suppose it's good practice for doing vlogs in Scotland, isn't it? So after that's been cooking for about 30 minutes, we'll rip up some of this cheese. We like Gouda, we find it's nice and sticky. But you could use grated cheese, absolutely anything you want, just throw it on top. Right, and then the lid goes back on and we give that another 10 minutes. I hope people find that informative and not just annoying, Rhoda.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
You think?
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Don't know. I think we might have to bring Troy Donahue in.
No.
Troy Donahue, camping and vlogging expert.
Oh, no.
So I don't know about anybody else, but when we bought this van, Rona and I fondly imagined that one of us would sit there and one would sit here, you know, opposite each other, having a meal and clinking a glass of wine like they do in the advertisements. But in truth, this seat is just so high and the back so straight that it's unusable as a seat, you know. So we end up sitting side by side. So this is a normal kind of setup. Rona jumps into what's normally my seat and I sit over there because that lets me move about the van a bit more. The only thing is Rona's usually beating a knife and fork on the table like some sort of...
Where's my dinner?
Yeah. I wish that was a joke. Oh yeah, one other thing. I mean, I feel embarrassed even saying this because it's perfectly obvious that nobody's sponsoring this channel. And nobody's given us anything, but what we do look at, we've used for years, yeah? Now there are 2 other things about the Remoska. You can lift it over on its plastic stand because bear in mind the pot is hot and you can serve it straight to your plates from the table. And the second thing is that don't put it down like this because that lid is hot. You have to put it this way until it cools. The benefit is if you have you know, a second serving or something like that, you can put the lid on and it will retain heat and it will keep your food warm. So Rona's away to do the dishes and when she comes back, I've got no doubt I'll be lying in the back of that van with a book. Rona will swivel the chairs a little bit and she can sit with her feet up and we'll fall asleep listening to the rain pattering down on the roof of this camper van. So we go to the supermarket most days because we like to see all the different foods you get in other countries and the way it's presented. But today we've doubled up because the weather's going to get worse tomorrow apparently, much heavier rain and higher winds. So I'm going to take the metal mallet and go outside and give some of these pegs in the awning a little knock just to make sure they're still in. Hard ground pegs obviously, and where I feel one start to loosen off a bit I'll double peg it, just to make sure it's going to stand okay. Now believe it or not, I can actually make an animated map, but I've always found that a solitary, lonely sort of experience, making one of them, so we're going for the map and the pointer cut from the back of a beer carton. Now we are near Valencia here, and we've had some January, Februaries where the temperature's been above 0 degrees constantly, and every day we've had hours of sunshine that we could sit outside, 4 to 5 hours of sunshine we could sit outside quite happily.
But we've also had below 0 degrees centigrade, 50 miles an hour winds and thunderstorms.
So if we take a short period here at the end of January, for example, it was 0 degrees centigrade here, frost in the ground, cars frosted up, minus 2 degrees centigrade further up the coast at Cambrils, Tarragona, and plus 5 degrees centigrade down at further down the coast at Malaga. So if you're touring at this time of year of January, February, of course, it makes sense to start at the bottom of Spain at Malaga and work your way up the coast.
Listen to the rain.
I know it's bad, isn't it? It's really hammering down. So there's no real substitute for touring if you want to long stay in the future. You need to find these places because it's a big commitment to stay on a site for 30 or 60 or 90 nights if you've never even seen the place. So we would say, unless you really wanted to get some winter sun, if you were doing that first tour, I would do it in the second couple of weeks of April and May, if you could. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, because the sites are quieter, because all the overwinterers and overwinter long stayers have generally gone home by then, and the Spanish holiday seasons haven't fully started. So, and the temperatures are absolutely perfect at that point. And if you were touring with a view to finding long stay sites in the future, if it was April, May, we would stay in sites that are also open in the winter. And the ones you like, a wide variety of sites, from Benidorm to quiet seaside. Yeah. You honestly won't know what you like till you try it. As I say, we thought Benidorm would be our place. You know,
yes, definitely, yes.
We love busy places, didn't we? Love Benidorm as well, you know.
Yeah.
God, I've got to go and check this awning sheltery thing to make sure it's not leaked in all this rain. Do you want to do it?
No. Good luck.
So I've got a little bit of water pooling in this corner here, so I'll throw a bit of kitchen roll down on that and we'll get some seam sealant on there once it's dried up a little bit, I think. So this little awning, it's actually a bit too big, I think, and we're always in doubt about whether to bother with it, because in a good year you don't need it, but when the weather's turned like this, you know, it gives you another option, somewhere else to be outside of the camper van. But what I really want to show you is this low wattage heater. Now we've got this one, slightly bigger one, and we've got a small one in the camper van. Now we could use them to heat the awning like this if we want to sit out here, but the other thing is the heating in this van, blown air underslung, has already broken down once at 5 months old, and it took us 3 months to get it fixed. So I like to have a backup here. We don't want broken heating to ruin our holiday. No big deal if it's hot this time of year. You know, with no backup, it is a bit of a disaster. Oh, and of course a proper outdoor cable and socket from the outlet in the van. So it is through the RCD and so on. And regardless of what time of year you're touring, if you're looking for long stay sites, ask them what the price is. Very occasionally you can plug in dates on the website and it'll give you it, but often you have to ask, and quite often it'll say on the website, please ask about longer stay rates, so it's worth doing. So how much are long stay rates? Well, it varies hugely. I mean, we know of one campsite that's €10 a night. Yeah. But it's electricity on a generator and it'll be very low amps, and I'm told that the generator is off during the day.
Yeah.
At the higher end, most campsites, if you use the Axie discount book for example, most campsites that do this discount off-season on the south coast of Spain are really charging the top 2 rates, which this year is 21 and €23, if you can see that. using this discount card. You'd pay somewhere along the lower end here. That's like 13 to 20 euros. Now the other big variation is the electricity included in the rate or not?
Yes, aye.
If the electricity is included in the rate, you're still paying for it, of course, but the rate will just be higher. The daily rate will be higher, but you'll be more inclined to use electricity, and there will be less likelihood of a nasty surprise at the end. Now, before the energy cost shot up, I think we were paying about €2.50 a day for this small van for electricity. When it wasn't included in the rate. Now that's a small fridge and a little bit of heating on morning and evening, €2.50. Now with energy costs shooting up, I would imagine it would be more than that.
I think so, yeah.
We don't know what it is now, but it's that kind of money. It could be double that for all we know.
Yeah.
So we just checked a well-known Benidorm campsite, and right now 45 nights would cost you €900, I think it was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, €900. So €20 a night, but electricity's on top of that. So even if you took our Euro 250 that we were a couple of years ago, on top of that, you're heading towards the higher AXI rate here of €23, €22.50 actually. If the electricity price has gone up, it's obviously going to be more than that. And generally, the further away you get from these big population centres, the cheaper the long stay rate you get is going to be. The Benidorm campsite does have 16 amps of electricity though, which is really good. That's UK level, isn't it? 16 amps, that's what we get in the club sites in the UK.
Yes.
You can do anything with that. Here we've got 10 amps, which is maybe a bit more normal. It's good actually.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 6 amps is common, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now in 10 amps, if you've got a typical hot air blown heating like we have, you'll be able to run your heating on its second setting, its midpoint setting, and you can still put a kettle on and things like that.
Hair dryers, straighteners.
6 amps, you would have to turn the heating off to boil a kettle, probably. Sometimes it works a bit differently, but that's the kind of level we're talking about. Now that's why we're on this 10 amp site just now, and we won't move up. Well, we're actually moving up the coast next week because it will be mid-February, and we won't move further up the coast until mid-February to a 6 amp site until it warms up a little bit. This is the first time we've had to cook inside in 5 weeks? Yeah.
You're hyperventilating.
Burning gas. Yeah. So we've made a run for the supermarket while the rain's off, haven't we?
Yeah.
But one last wee thing about electricity, if you're on a site and your electricity is on top and it's expensive, or you're on 6 amps and your electricity keeps tripping, you might wonder why don't you just use gas for your heating, because most of these systems are electric or gas now, of course. Now we've got fitted LPG tanks.
Yeah.
And that's more and more common now, obviously, Now if we've had our heating on non-stop all week, because of the weather,
It's so cold.
Now, if we were doing that on gas, and we're using the gas oven and the gas hob, and perhaps a gas barbecue connected into the van LPG, we'd be using quite a lot of gas,
Yeah.
Now, that's not a problem if you're touring, because you can just fill up in between sites. But when you're long stay, you're much more inclined to do all the extra manoeuvring that's required to get your unit into a place where it's either giving you some more privacy, or sheltering you from the prevailing wind, or just giving you a bit more acreage that's in the sun to sit out in. So you're much less inclined to take it off the site. Maybe it's impossible to take it off the site without major disruption to fill it up with gas.
Yeah.
So everything becomes much more of a balance between gas and electricity, Now that's why I think or partly why low wattage devices like the Remoska are popular. The little single plate induction hobs that you can get, and it's why we use a barbecue type thing that uses a gas supply that's independent from the van, Now you could just use a clicky stove, but I like the Kadak thing because you get these choice of cooking surfaces that Kadak give you. I use this cheap gas, I'll put B-roll over the top of this. I use these gas canisters because you can get them anywhere. Now we take about 6 with us, and on a 2-month trip we'll probably use maybe 4 or 5. Yeah. But I know if the weather was fantastic and we used it every day, we would. I could walk up the road and buy another 4-pack of these. Now the more exotic camping canisters like the screw-ins, you know, you may have to go and find a camping shop to buy them. So that's why we use that one in particular. So apologies if that video was a bit dry, yeah? You get it, Lauren?
Yes.
You get,
Yes,
you get the
yes,
pun?
yes, I get the pun.
It's been raining all week. There's a water course back there that's been nearly empty and now it's full, you know. So yeah, a wee bit dry maybe, but we did want to get all that stuff out the way while we couldn't do anything else, you know. But next week we're moving, new campsite, new town, new city to visit, you know. And what I think we'll do as well is you'll hear a lot of stuff about the dangers of getting robbed on some of these roads, you know. And the risk's minimal. If you're aware, the risk's minimal, isn't it? But I think we'll stop at the place on the way up the coast where it nearly happened to us and sort of describe it, you know. Just as it's no big deal, you know, but yeah, it can happen. They're out there, these thieves.
Yeah, and it is frightening.
And they're watching out for tourists, you know, obviously. I mean, the Spanish hate these people as much as we do. So all that remains for this week is to say a wee hi again to Cleo, Charlie and Joey. And we hope everybody has a fantastic week and we'll see you next week. Take care.